Hey there, and welcome back to another video and another movie review. This is Iwo Rainbow McLean for life once again, and today I'm gonna continue to doing the Fast and the Furious franchise. And today I'm going to review the third sequel in the series, and that's of course the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which came out 4th June 2006. And this movie is underrated, and another movie that I love to death, better than the original. And it's another sequel that people are bitching about, are complaining about, and because there's no the original cast in it, and who cares? I love this movie to death. This is my top 3 favorite The Fast and the Furious series, and I really love this movie to death. Adrenaline pumping, explosive action. Chuck Thomas, movie reviews and previews, I agree with him because it's right. I really enjoy this movie to death. Of all the 3, to me is the best one. The third one to me is the best one to me. Then will be Too Fast, Too Furious, then the first one so far. But I really have enjoyed this film. And of course, this is the first movie that was directed by Justin Lin, written by Chris Morgan. And of course, they could not get the original cast from the first 2 movies, so they decided to do, a second. So they actually decided to do a new characters, which I love that. We got Han, new character, played by Sun Kang, and a few days ago I read that his comments, which he said that before of that, he was everything. He was an actor, waiter, he worked everything. Until this movie came out, and this movie made him into a star. Yes, this movie made Sun Kang into a star, and I love that he got a new character, Han, which I'm glad, because the next movies, they were actually prequels before this movie, before Han's death, and of course, after poor test screening, the studio asked Vin Diesel if he would return, if he would at least make a cameo scene, and Vin Diesel agreed to do that if the studio relinquished the rights to Riddick to him, in which they did. So he did he did filmed a cameo scene by the end, and that was only one scene, one take, in one shot. And it was actually, the cameo was a last minute reshot after primary filming was completed. So there was only one minute that was in the film. But I'm glad that Vin Diesel did return, because the first time I saw this film, I was really surprised that Vin Diesel did return on the end of the film. This is the only movie that Paul Walker was not in it, and it doesn't matter, because I love this movie to death, and I'm glad that we got a new cast, new characters, and the movie is focused more on the culture and the street racing. I mean, what's wrong with that? I'm glad it's street racing, because I love this movie to death, man. I love this movie, and that's how they're supposed to continue doing. The Fast and the Furious franchise was more about street racing, and sometimes was an action. Not that in the next installments they are now James Bond saving the fucking universe. They go into fucking space. I'm so sick and tired of every shitty sequel that came out. But this was released in 2006, was filmed in August 2005, and was completed in November 2005, was released by Universal Pictures June 4, 2006. And 2005 and 2006 were the year when I was still in high school. I had to drop out of high school that time, 2005. For 5 months, I dropped out of high school, and I applied in the next semester in September back, which I had to repeat the class. And back in 2006, when this movie came out, I still remember seeing posters. I remember seeing posters on IMDb. I remember when one of my classmates told me about this film, but actually he was telling me about the video game. Yes, video game that was based on this movie, and based on all the three films, which are street racing for PlayStation 2, was released after this movie was released in 2006 in September. This was released in June 4, 2006. And I really enjoyed this film. I mean, love this movie to death. I love this movie to death, even more than the first two, because this is how they're supposed to do movies. And the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is a fantastic film. Yes, I said it. I call this film a fantastic film, better than the new installments nowadays. And I put this movie in top 3 favorite The Fast and the Furious movies. By the end of the franchise, I'll do, of course, the rankings of my Fast and the Furious movies. But The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift is a damn good film. It's actually the movie set in Japan, in Tokyo, but there's a lot of scenes that actually had to film. They actually had to film only a few additional scenes in Tokyo because that time permit for making the movie there, it wasn't. It was really impossible to obtain. So they actually film. They actually film a few shots in it because the mostly was filmed in California, Los Angeles, because they couldn't get the permit because the director Justin Lin couldn't get permit to film there. And sometimes police they were polite and they allowed them 10 minutes to shot, and they send them away. Studio also hired, which the director didn't know, they hired a fall guy. When police made arrest, he claimed that he's the director, and he spent the night at jail, which I think was really good and really nice and sweet that there's a fall guy to save the director, which I love that. A director didn't know that. There is a final street race scene with Han, which they actually had to do CGI background, in which so that they had to do so that it looked like Tokyo. Of course, that's actually filmed in Los Angeles, but they did it CGI because they did put CGI in the film. And Han was driving this car, and that was, of course, I can't find which car was actually was Mazda RX-7. This was Han's car Mazda when he was driving, and I really enjoy this movie. And it's like more about culture, the Japanese culture, and more about the street racing. And I love that this movie is set in high school. This is actually set in high school. I read it on trivia that it's set in 2013, but actually to me it's 2006 because it was filmed there and was released there. And 2006 was my year when I actually finished, which I actually completed the class. And I still remember that time, 2006, but I really love this movie to death. Now the story talks about, first off, I love there's a new kid in the town. Lucas, I think was Lucas Black. Lucas Black, he plays Sean Boswell. He's the new kid in the block. He's actually high school. And there's a scene in which they actually film security, which I love that, he's a high school kid. He's a new kid in the block. It's just called him new kid in the block. He's Lucas Black plays Sean Boswell, and I think that Lucas Black should just stayed in this movie, and I don't know why he did cameo scene in Furious 7. I'm glad he did only one scene, but they put him in F9, and he was completely useless in that movie. It was stupid. F9 was stupid. Now this movie, he's a new kid. He's in high school, and I love that it's actually completely different, that the story is different. It's not a repeat of the first two movies. Every story is different. And Justin Lin did great direction. And this new kid in high school, he's a street racer, and he talks to this sexy girl, Cindy, Nikki Griffin, Cindy. He flirts with her. And Clay, played by Zachary T. Bryan, he's a jock. He's a high school football player. He doesn't like the new kid is talking to his girlfriend. So he goes and challenges him to a street race with the two best cars, with Chevrolet Monte Carlo car and his Viper, his Viper car, his I think was his Viper car. Dodge Viper, 2003 Dodge Viper, and his Monte Carlo car. So the winner gets the girl Cindy on a prom date, and they go, they actually go. They go the street race, and I love the street race. I know it kind of was a little CGI, but mostly was done with the real real stunt drivers. They did that, and they go and they race, on the construction. And there's a scene when Sean goes and hits in the construction site, the structure, that house that was built to catch the Clay, and almost wins Clay. Clay goes, punches him with the car, and of course Clay causes both the crashes. He hits he hits a cement pipe, and of course Sean's car gets flipped over, which I love that. Gets flipped over, gets totally wrecked, gets destroyed, and gets totally wrecked. Because Clay and Cindy, they have both rich parents. They both get away, but Sean can't. So that this is the third time they actually moved away, and because he's racing, and because his mom said, we're not moving, you're moving. In order to avoid jail time, he has to go on the first flight to Japan in Tokyo to live with his estranged father, Major Boswell. He's by the Navy, and his father is actually very strict. He tells him, be by your rules, go to school, came back home, and that's it. Avoid street races at all costs. And we see the culture of Japan, which I love that it's Japan, the Tokyo. We see how everything, the culture, how Justin Lin did a great shot. He did such a great direction, and it was just awesome, man. And he goes, to the school, and he finds out that he has to take the shoes off, and he has to take a wabaki, wabaki, and he meets this girl, Nila, played by actress Natalie Kelly as Nila, and he meets this guy, Bo Wow, played by Twinkie, which they go with the green car. They go both together. They both drive a car, and he comes to the street racing, which is a club. There's a tons of street racing, but this is a different street race. It's actually a drifting street race in which cars have to slide, which you have to use by the gear. You have to use how you call it, the brake. You have to use the brake, and you have to slide the cars. And once again, when he talks to Nila, that kind of makes jealous with the DK Takeshi. His DK means Drifter King. He's the best in the drifting, and so far he never lost a race. And because Takeshi doesn't like that the new guy Taiji, Gaijin, actually is Gaijin. That means stranger outside. I know that because I've watched Black Rain with Michael Douglas, which was again another movie that was set in Japan. But because DK doesn't like that John is actually flirting with his girlfriend, so So Sean, he goes, and he challenged him to a race. And he says, how are you gonna race? You don't have a car. You're gonna race with a scooter. And he says, and Han, we see a new character, Han, and tells him, take my car. I wanna see what the kids got. And I love that, man. I love this movie to death. Such a great, phenomenal action film, in my opinion. So the kid goes in the drifted, and he goes and destroys, wrecks the car. Of course, DK wins the DK goes and he wins the finale. And Sean destroys the car, and Han says, "Don't leave the town," And right after the school, Han waits him, and of course Sean says, "I'm gonna pay you back." For the damage. Says, how are you gonna do that? You're gonna work for me now, so get in the car. They go in the car, they go to the salon, says, this guy sold me money, bring it to me, and he goes to this guy, this sumo wrestler guy, throws him out. Oh my god, I was laughing my head as he throws out. He tries to get back, and the guy throws him and throws him money. I was laughing so much. But I love Sean so much in this movie. Lucas Black, that time, he did fantastic job. I love the new characters, but so he now works for Han, and he meets more Han in the new world, and he asks him to teach me how to drift. And I love there's a fisherman, and he starts drifting, and yes, he keeps teaching him. There's another scene when of course one of Takeshi's best friends, Morimoto, played by Leonardo Nam, goes and beats Twinkie because he sell him a broken broken radio or broken Walkman he sent him, and of course Sean defended him and he gave him the money. Then Twinkie's upset, but then because Twinkie, Bow Wow, they became friends, and Sean also helps him out with the selling stuff, and it was just awesome film, man. I have really enjoyed that. And he, the next race is with Morimoto, and for the car, and of course, Han teaches Sean, with his team. They are teaching Sean how to drift, and every time he does that, he gets better by the drift. And of course, the next race, he beats Morimoto, which is awesome. And of course, Sonny Chiba, rest in peace, he actually plays, uncle of Takeshi, which was Uncle Kamata. He's actually a Yakuza, and Uncle Kamata, he finds out that the partner of Takeshi is stealing from them money, and says, that because that was a disgrace, because he didn't know that Han is stealing the money. There's also, I forgot to mention, I kind of missed a few scenes out. There's a scene when Sean flirts and talks to Neela, and they go in the car, they drift in the car, and that time that's actually which upsets Takeshi. He goes and beats to blood Sean. This is the second time he gets goes and beats to blood, and of course that upsets Neela, and she breaks up with Takeshi, and says only because of Gaijin. I think he raped her or what he did later, Takeshi. So she goes back to Neela, and like I said, Sean leaves father's house and he goes to Han. He moves to Han because he loves Han, and he works for Han, but he also loves that that the new culture, the new street race, that he didn't know nothing about it. And I just love that in the film. And I kind of miss those kind of movies. I miss that it would be so simple. Because this movie is like the Karate Kid. Just it's no wax on, wax off, like Han says. It's the Karate Kid, and Takeshi is Johnny Lawrence, and Sean Boswell, he's Daniel LaRusso for the Karate Kid. And it kind of is the style of the Karate Kid. It's just different with the street racing. And because when Uncle Kamata, he tells Takeshi DK that that his partner Han was stealing from them. And no, Takeshi didn't know that. That really upsets him, and he goes and tries to kill Han, and he points the gun, but Twinkie throws the cars, and they all escape. And Morimoto is chasing Nila and Sean Bossel. They both escape. But Han, Han's car actually gets explodes due to a fuel leak because he crashes because it because I think it's actually the car rolls over, and Han's car Mazda rolls over and lands, and due to fuel leak explodes. The car explodes, and Han is killed, and of course because Takeshi because Sean and Nila, they escape with the train, and he shows back home to his dad. Takeshi shows up, points the gun at him, wants to shoot him, but Major Buster shows up with his other gun and said, I won't do that. And Nila goes with Takeshi, and Takeshi then leaves him, but says we'll meet again, but this time it won't be there to save you. And because Sean knows there are problems, and Twinkie says you should get the hell out of here. Get out of here, get out of here before it's too late. And of course he says, no, I want to talk to Uncle Kamata because he's the head of Yakuza, to save this problem, to save everything. And Twinkie gives him money. He goes to meet into Uncle Kamata, and he brings the money back, and says, Uncle Kamata, so since you bring you bring the money back, you think you're gonna walk away? No, I also want to apologize what me and Takeshi did to you, and I propose a street race. If I win, I'm free. If I lose, you get my car and I'm dead, and something like that. And in order to save the honor, the street race, it's set on. And I love it. Takeshi said, I beat this piece of shit before again. And Kamata says, good. I just love Sonny Chiba. Rest in peace, he did such a great job, playing Uncle Kamata in this movie. So the final scene were actually filmed in Azusa Canyon in California. I tried to Google it on YouTube, actually Google it, the road, but that was the last scenes were in California. And I actually love the how Sean, he goes and with his dad and Han's crew, they actually went and they go and they actually used the parts, the parts from the engine, and they actually go in and they built the car. And the last one was, of course, and the last one was black and white Ford Mustang 1967 Mustang, black and white. And of course Takeshi's car was actually Nissan 350S car, black, which was DK. And yeah, and of course they actually both, and of course they both go in a race. And I love the race, where they actually go the biggest hill, which of course Twinkie said that so far DK was the first one that he made it. And this is the scene when DK, he tries to hit a few times Sean, but the car, Sean clicks, he actually steps on the brake, and the car goes off the cliff and rolls over the cliff, gets destroyed. Sean says, he actually avoids the crash, and he goes and he completes the race and he wins, and he like goes back and he's now free, and he's now the new DK, and of course DK says there's a new car racer, new street racer, actually new driver who challenge you to a street race, and of course Sean says that tonight. he says he actually knew Han. He said his family, and they go, it's Vin Diesel as Dominic Toretto there to the film, and they actually go, the street race, and that's just awesome, and the movie really ends. I mean, I love this movie to death. I love this movie dearly to death. This is how we do a movie. The street race is a culture. I love the cast. Now, more the facts about this film. Lucas Black did a fantastic job as Sean Boswell. I love that he's a new kid, that he's in high school. I love the opening scene in high school. I love, Brian Tyler did the music score. This is the first time he did the music score. I love the music score. Badass music score by Brian Tyler. Justin Lin, fantastic. He did a great job directing this film. Congratulations. You did a great job, Justin Lin. Fantastic job you directed this movie. Chris Morgan did a great story, great lines, really great job. It's like a Karate Kid. I'll choose this movie or the Karate Kid because I love this movie dearly to death. That's how we do the Fast and the Furious movie. It's PG-13, and the cast, Natalie Kelly, she this is actually the first movie she did. Her acting debut, she did great job as Neela. Bowo, Twinkie, he did a good job. Panelli Kelly, Neela, she was gorgeous, she was babe, she was hot, she was awesome. Brian T as DK, Drifter King Takeshi did a great job as the villain. Sun Khan, we introduced a new character, Han. Yes, Han was later in Fast and Furious. Then he was in Fast 5 and the Fast and Furious 6, or more Fast and Furious 6. Sally, he wasn't in part 7. Then they go and make him, in part 9. They decide, now we're gonna, with CGI, gonna just make that he's alive. Fast 9 ruined the franchise, in my opinion. Or F9, but I will get, when I get to that movie. Sonny Chiba, excellent job as Uncle Kamata. He did not much, but he was great. I mean, really bad that the actor passed away. Leonard Namas Morimoto, one of Takeshi's friends, and of course his second in command, accomplice by Yakuza. Linda Boyd, she played Miss Boswell. She did a good job. Brian Goodman, he played Major Boswell, dad of father of Sean Boswell. Zachary T. Bryan played Clay. He did a good job as the villain in the open scene. And Nikki Griffin, too bad Zachary T. Bryan, Nikki Griffin aren't that much in the film anymore. Nikki Griffin stopped acting for a while. Cindy, Clay's girlfriend, she did a good job. And the budget for this movie, I mean, the cast did a great job, especially Sung Kang as Han, because he said that this movie made him into a star, and Sung Kang as Han did a fantastic job. I love that it was in Japan, that was in Tokyo, and how they filmed the scenes. I love that. I mean, I will watch this movie many times. My favorite scene will still be the final scene in that canyon, in that huge peak, the hill that Sean and the final race, Sean and DK are actually driving, they're drifting. I love that scene. That's my favorite scene in the film, in that peak. That's my favorite scene. It's about an hunter, and in order to save himself all the depth, which I love that. I will always watch this movie. I don't care how many times, This is the first movie was not released on VHS. The first and the second movie were released on VHS. This was released on Blu-ray and DVD. Later, there is a video game. Like I said, my classmate told me about the video game. And I actually saw this film. I think it was back in 2011. I saw the second, the third one. I haven't seen before the second. I only saw the first one. Haven't seen the second or the third one or the fourth one until later. I watched the sequels when we came to Fast 5. But this one of all the three to me is the best. It's my top three favorite, the Fast and the Furious, and I really enjoy this film, especially the race between DK and Sean on the end. And like I said, Lucas Black, he did a great job as Sean Boswell, and Bow Wow did a great job as Twinkie, and Brian T as DK was awesome as Takeshi, the bad guy, and Natalie Kelly as Neela did a great job. The drift in the movie was performed by professional drivers, drift racers. They all performed drift sequences. Over 100 cars were destroyed and wrecked, which is awesome. Yes, over 100 cars were destroyed and wrecked in this movie. The real drifter, this is actually real because the most of the scenes were real. You know, they weren't CGI, they weren't crap, they were real professional style drivers. They did those scenes, which is awesome. There's also a video in which how Lucas Black was actually learning how to drive the car, and how they actually, before the filming started, and also Natalie Kelly was talking about this film. It's just really awesome. This movie is badass. And of course, like I said, they asked Vin Diesel to return, which is cool. Yes, it's cool that he returned. And he said because of poor screen test audience, you know, he returned. And that's just awesome. And yeah, it was just awesome that he returned. I love that. But yeah, so it was just awesome that he returned. And like I already said, but yeah, final race car chase scene. This is my favorite scene. When it's at night, you know, the night scene. I love that they actually filmed the night scene when Takeshi and Sean, they're driving and they are competing who wins on the end. I love that scene. That's my favorite scene, the best one. I love Sean's car. I love how they build the car. I love the music score by Brian Tyler, who also did the Rambo's score. But I love his Mustang, you know, black and white Mustang. I love that. I mean, I miss when the Fast and the Furious were the Fast and the Furious. I miss this kind of movies nowadays, which is more about street racing, which the movie is supposed to be more, you know, focusing on street racing, not saving the fucking world. Which I'm really sick and tired how they ruin now the franchise. DK drives Nissan. I forgot to mention in the opening scene, not the high school scene, the first street race with DK, when Sean drives, he also drives, I think it was a blue-orange Nissan Silvia, which drives Sean with his first race with DK when he destroys Han's car. I love that scene. Yeah, I also love the soundtracks, which I forgot to mention. The whole movie, I love the soundtracks, you know. But with the Daba, played by Kid Rock, is the scene when Sean and Clay are racing with Cindy. They're racing, that time the song plays, which I love that. But with that, there's Tokyo Drift by Teriyaki Boys, which I love that. And 6 Days was definitely with DJ Shadow, which I love that. And of course, Contigo Don Omar, which I love that. Another soundtrack. I love the soundtracks for this film. Of course, Tokyo Drift, you know, when he shows up in Tokyo Drift, I love that song. I love that song. Kind of looks like Mortal Kombat, but I love that song. 6 Days by Mos Def, the DJ Shadow I enjoy. and I think was Conti or Don Omar, I think was right by the end. But I just really, I mean, I really love this film to death, especially because there is a video game for PlayStation 2, never played, but my classmate told me about the video game. But I love this movie to death, and of course that's my review on the third sequel, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. I hope you enjoy and like my review. But thanks for watching and take care. And we'll see you in the next review. And that's gonna be the next sequel which I'll talk about. I'm out. Take care and see you next video. Bye bye.